Good evening and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing League live from Auto Club Speedway. I am Bob. Joining me as always in the booth is Joe. And Joe, this is going to be a very, very fun track. Fast, wide, slick, tons of passing opportunities. I think we're really in for a great show.
You said a lot of my favorite words.
And with these Gen 4 cars, they very easily could be hitting upwards of 200 plus miles an hour as they dive off into the corner. A couple of things to watch out for tonight's race. Like I mentioned, there are multiple grooves, so you could run all over the racetrack no matter where you want to race. So if you want to run the bottom, you can. You want to run the top, go for it. Anywhere in the middle, by all means, race wherever you want because you can. However, that being said, this usually does turn into a bit of a fuel mileage race. Joe and I were broadcasting the Speed Xfinity series earlier this season, and the top three drivers all ran out of fuel coming to the checkered flag, and the winner literally had to coast through turn 4 to finish in first. So this is definitely one of those races where fuel mileage is going to be incredibly important.
Yeah, I'm always interested. These guys always have several different kind of fuel setups that they have going. So I'm really interested to see. It's always who's going to pit it this time, who's going to pit it that time, who's going to try to run it twice, 3, 4. So it's always interesting to see how these guys are going to shake out.
Yeah, and taking a look here at the standings, you can see who was fastest so far on the track. Anthony Navarro putting up a blistering 39.68 second lap. John Canizaro Jr. there as well with a 39.71. And Canizaro sporting a little bit of a different paint scheme this week. You see that 77 with some beautiful reds and golds and purples and oranges. From what I understand, that is a hand-painted car. We used to see that a lot in NASCAR in this era of body style, but now they've moved over to doing the wraps and everything like that. And a very, very cool paint scheme. And the fact that he is able to, whoever he was able to get to paint his car actually did it by hand is honestly impressive and definitely adds a couple extra horsepower there.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Taking a look real quick here at the point standings for tonight's race. Coming in 14 races into this season. And John Daniels, driver the number 02, he is actually our points leader. He's got a 33-point lead over the 27 of Anthony DeBarro. Philip Scott in third. Tim Johnston just outside of the range at 139 points back in fourth. And Canizaro, he has won a lot. He's finished up front a lot as well. But after missing a couple of races, still in the hunt, 206 points back, but in sixth place. And if you're wondering what the points work and how they all work, well, here's your answer. If you win the race, you get 122 points. Second place, 119, 3 points less for every position back. You get 5 points for leading a lap, 5 points for leading the most laps, and if you qualify on pole, that's an extra 5 points. So if you win the race, lead a lap, lead the most laps, and qualify on pole, that would be 330 or 137 points instead of the 122. So every single lap out there matters for these drivers the entire season.
It's so interesting, the way the points break out.
And, especially watching, we've been watching these guys race all season long. And, you kind of pick up the different, tendencies of drivers and what they, who spends more time towards the front, who's going to be more aggressive, who's going to save their stuff and show up at the end. And, that's been a ton of fun just to kind of see the different ways these drivers go about it. And then seeing the shuffle up in the points like that is, it's pretty dang cool.
definitely. Let's see, our practice is about to end.
Yeah, Jamar Dumas out there right now, currently running 9th with a 40.06. Looks like there are 17 drivers who have made the trip out. A couple of new faces, a couple of drivers we haven't seen in a little while. Racing with us here tonight. We see the 51 of Matt Rodriguez. He's out here. Matt Rod is definitely one of his better tracks is right here at Auto Club Speedway. As we're starting to get ourselves ready to go here for qualifying, group qualifying here in TNR. So everyone jumps out at the exact same time. And I'm interested to see if there's going to be any sort of gamesmanship heading out here because, you know, the draft is going to be super powerful here at Auto Club. And I think that's exactly what Daniels is doing. He's saying, all right, John, I'll hang out back here. Punch a hole for me. I'll be faster.
Yeah, you usually have pretty good laps. Let me just get back here real quick.
Taking a look here at the weather, 83-degree track temp, so plenty of grip. With the sun going down, it's only going to get grippier. And let's see Daniel's speed, already 202 miles an hour as they fly off into turn number 1. You can really see how bumpy and not smooth that backstretch is at Auto Club.
Yeah, it feels like the whole track.
Very easy to get sideways, especially out of 4 there, coming across those seams. Let's see what lap number 1 looks like for both of these drivers. DeBarro goes fastest with a 39.6. There is DeBarro. He's got his teammate Tim Johnston coming out of the pits right now. Danny White in a great-looking number 24 machine. Or, pardon me, Jacob Bettis, rather. Danny White in the 44 in the Jack Daniels car.
Against the wall, though, that's going to slow him down.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to pull it off to the side of the road.
This is a bigger track. This is, what, a 2-mile track?
Yeah,
so you're not going to get as many, not as many qualifying as you would normally grab.
Yeah, definitely not. Take a look here. Here's the 4 of Adam Stewart. Adam with the Welts Clothing on board. They have graciously jumped up to sponsor the Talladega doubleheader coming up next week. So 2 races at Talladega, brought to you by our friends at Welts Clothing. Check them out online, weltsclothes.com. Very cool logo. You'll see their logo up on the screen throughout the broadcast, up on the our tower over here. Adam right now is sitting P10 in the points. So a very, very good run. And that kind of just goes to show here at TNR, show up, compete, run as many laps as you can. It's going to be a pretty good night for you. Anthony DeBarro, P2. Tim Johnston goes up to a pole, or the provisional pole, rather, with a 39.57. Ken Dumas string in a lap to try to pick up right now. He's currently sitting in 8th at a 39.95. Right now he's got the lap time of an infomercial with 10 easy payments.
It's
Getting
like a
White out of the corner.
White lost it on 4, just running into the dirt. He's going to try to get a lap again.
We'll go on board. Yeah, got in the wall. It snapped on him. And he's out there driving as the Schue lawn care machine. There is Anthony DeBarro, able to pick up a little bit of time from his best. Did a 39.59.
I don't even think they are
big loose.
Oof. I don't even think they are point. Oh no, he made it to the pits. We're good. They are not 0.02 seconds away because my ticker has them at 0.01 and change.
Wow, so even closer than looks like just a little bit of rounding on our broadcast part of things. As the clock has struck 0, so anyone out there on a run right now can go out and finish their lap. Here's the 44, Danny White. Going through. Can't quite get anything there. Here's the 72 of Jonathan Gaston. Will Gaston get his lap in? Looks like he does, but only at a 40.21. Points leader John Daniels there in 6th with 39.88. Ace House also out on track, or he was on track. He's since backed out. So only these two drivers left here to throw in a lap. And of course, they're right on top of each other. Daniels sideways.
Well, it looks like turn 4 is going to be our problem, huh?
Yeah, little bit of calamity corner heading out for that one. But as we get ourselves ready to go here, we're going to transition into the starting lineup for tonight's race. Total Nonstop Racing League here at Auto Club Speedway. Let's get a quick look here at the starting lineup. Starting on pole is the 82 of Tim Johnston. He puts on a 39.573 second lap. Anthony DeBarro right next to him, and as Joe said, less than 0.2 of a second behind. Row number 2 has John Cannizzaro Jr. and Philip Scott. Matthew Rodriguez and John Daniels in row number 3. Ace House and Jamar Dumas in row 4. Danny White and Adam Stewart. Great start for Stewart. Just inside the top 10. Row number 6 is Jonathan Gaston and Jason Schue. Row number 7 has Jacob Bettis and Max Kost. Garrick Gleason and Jeff Price in 15th and 16th, rounding out the field for tonight's broadcast. Well, Joe, the drivers getting themselves ready to go. Everyone jumping in to their cars. The field waiting to be given the go-ahead for the pace car to pull off.
And away we go.
And this is going to be a good one. Field just pulling off of the racetrack now. 75 laps. And like we saw, a lot of drivers with different philosophies here. Do you want to run the top the whole race? Do you want to run the bottom, save some tire? You'll probably see drivers run the bottom for the first few laps just to, just to warm things up, make sure they're ready to go. Don't want to kill your tires too much. But then once the car, once everyone gets going, the tires warm up, you're not too worried about, cooking off your tires. Then everyone's going to run up towards the high side. And it does actually get fairly difficult to pass once everyone starts running the top. But we'll see how all that one goes.
How many sets of tires do these guys have tonight?
I believe there are 3 sets of tires in the pits. But the pace car pulls off. Field in the hands of the 82 of Tim Johnston. Green flag in the air. Matt Rodriguez gets a great jump. He takes a peek to the inside. He's not able to get it done. As the field makes their way off into turn number 1, Johnston has the position. So here comes the rest of the field. minding their own business, coming down the back straightaway. A couple of cars dicing back and forth. That's a 51 of Matthew Rodriguez.
I think he was just trying to follow the line. Like, oh, we're all going up there?
Very, very difficult to control the car on the backstretch just because of how bumpy and how not smooth that backstretch is. Johnson up top. He's got DeBarro down low. And here at Auto Club Speedway, if you run the top, you're going to have a much bigger run and just much more momentum coming off the top line out of the corner than you are on the bottom. So it'll be interesting to see what lines and what runs get created as Tim Johnston jumps out to a bit of an early lead. 35 minutes of the second ahead.
Daniels is wiggling around Cananzaro there. That's going to be a little tricky. I see he's wiggling back and forth trying to fake out which side he's going in. I don't know what that's.
I think he might have just gotten real loose. It is so easy coming through the corner like that because the car is just really fighting you wanting to turn. And as soon as you come across those black seams in the racetrack, you lose a little bit of grip. And in doing so, wants to kick the car sideways every single time. And I think he just had to try to catch himself ever so slightly through those corners.
Interesting.
Oh, Rodriguez sideways, hard into the wall. And we'll get our first yellow of the night as Matthew Rodriguez just knocks down the turn one wall.
I don't think that car's moving.
Let's take a look at this one again. We'll jump on board with Rodriguez here. So he got in the wall, pulled it off the wall, and unfortunately for him, hard collision.
Yeah, I gripped at the absolute worst time, right when he cut his tire all the way in the opposite direction, and the car went, oh, grip now, and just right into the wall.
Yeah, just a vicious wreck. So very unfortunate there.
Lucky for everybody else that was around him.
Yeah, everyone else able to keep it going in the right direction. Let's take one more look at this one, this time from the cockpit view of the 51. Because I'm interested to see how how he had handled it inside the car. So here's the in-car view from Rodriguez. And watch the wheel. So the car is already set to go in there. He gets in the wall, pulls the wheel hard left to pull it off. Then he's full tilt to the right.
Looks like he recovers.
Still sliding.
Boom.
Right there, grips up. And hard into the outside wall. And right there, when you're going almost 200 miles an hour and you're seeing cars coming towards you, not a great sight.
Mm-mm.
A couple of cars head down pit road. Over on YouTube, Matthew Rodriguez says, whoops. Good to see you're okay. You're out and communicating with the with the safety officials.
Yeah.
Definitely a tough break there.
Hopefully your force feedback wasn't too stiff.
A couple of drivers decided to head down pit road.
Yeah, I mean, 6 laps in, might as well, right? Got some gas.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it looks like a lot of these drivers did. They just pulled in, got some fuel, came back out, and they're going to have a 6 lap advantage essentially over the rest of the field. As we see a little poking into each other there with the O2 and the 77. I am interested to see, Joe, if more drivers are going to be clutching their way into the corner, kind of like what we saw with Daniels last week at Darlington. As it looks like Gaston and a few other drivers are heading down pit road. Just going in to pick up a little extra fuel. Just to top that one off. Jason Schue with the beautiful Dale Senior Atlanta 96 paint scheme. That is definitely one of the all-time best paint schemes there in NASCAR.
I know we say it every week, but all these cars look so great every week. And they're always a little different, and it's just great.
And the way the chrome really shines on the the paint scheme there is gorgeous.
Yeah, I have my GPU working overtime on my end. It looks phenomenal. It's crying, but it looks phenomenal.
Well, right now the lights on that old Mustang pace car are off. Field coming together here outside of turn 2 or turn 4. Looks like we're going to be getting ready to go back green here in just a moment. Tim Johnston, your leader. Anthony DeBarro here in second. Pace car pulls in. The field heading into the restart zone. Johnston gets on the loud pedal. We're back racing here at Auto Club. Great start there by the 82. 27 is going to fall in the line. Just behind him is the 77 of Cannizzaro, Philip Scott and company. Here comes Daniels down to the inside. Daniels is going to get around Philip Scott, but on the outside, there goes Cost. Or, pardon me, that's Ace House. Now House and Daniels battle this one out side by side.
It's like Daniel's making a play for third.
And Daniels pushing hard. He's got the 47 of House just on his back bumper. Up front, we've got DeBarro taking a peek to the inside. DeBarro going to the shortest way around the track to the bottom. Not going to be able to clear DeBarro, or Johnston rather, but they are side by side. Into turn 3. DeBarro looking low. He will clear the 82, but is Johnston going to give him a crossover? He's going to look. Not quite able to do anything there. Might have been a tiny bit of contact there from his teammate in Johnston. This is going to put DeBarro, or pardon me, Cannizzaro to the inside. He's going to slide up just in front of Johnston. So now let's move the Wild Child up to P2.
It was indeed a Wild Child move. That looked like it was for sure going to be another yellow.
Absolutely insane. Let's take a look at that one more time here from the gearbox of Cannizzaro. So we're looking at Johnston there. And then right here.
Hi.
Excuse me, pardon me, I'm coming through.
Ooh.
As now Cannizzaro's got a mirror full of Johnston yet again. Here comes John Daniels trying to make this one interesting. Daniels looks low. Can't quite get anything going there.
So if I'm not mistaken, I have our nice little info stat ticker over here. They are taking the turns around 160.
Yeah, that is that's about right.
Oh, sorry, 170 on the top end.
Big issue
Uh-oh.
for House. What happened there for another yellow?
Yeah, I don't.
Did something happen to Ace House's car? Because that thing is just sitting there. I think he might have had a hardware issue.
I think so, because I don't see.
Let's see what happened.
He just parked.
He might have had a hardware issue. Yeah, his shifts up in the neutral, and the car just stopped.
Well, it's revving hard, but
this is absolutely signs of I don't even know what happened there.
Yeah, how long? He revved until he entered pit. I think his wheel just disconnected.
That's
or like
what it
his
looks like.
Shifter or his something.
And yep, Ace is confirming in the chat, my wheel disconnected. Oh, yeah. Such a tough break. And that's usually what happens too. The wheel kind of pulls hard one way or another. The car basically just stops and also gasses at the exact same time.
Honestly, could have been way worse.
And a real tough moment. As now we're going to see who wins the race off pit road. It's going to be Canizaro. Looks like the top 5 all stayed out. So now we're going to look into a little bit of fuel strategy for this run. As we have a new leader, Ninja Phil himself, Philip Scott. So after 2 very tough breaks for both Matthew Rodriguez and Ace House, we're down to now 13 cars out on the racetrack. With just over 60 laps to go.
Yeah, all things considered, from a wheel disconnect, that could have been way worse. He could have been in the middle of a turn. You know, he just slams into a wall, or you know, all things considered.
Could have been there in the middle of the pack, and wound up taking everyone out.
Mm-hmm.
In the chat, Tyler Avery says, "Damn, that 77's hot." I have a feeling Tyler is said painter of that 77, and yeah, I completely agree. That thing is gorgeous, hand painted and all.
Yeah, it looks great. Gives me Vegas slot machine vibes. I'm all for it.
Oh yeah, in the best way possible.
Yeah, I don't mean that in a bad way.
Definitely reminds me of the some old school hot rod paint jobs, and especially like some of the local dirt tracks that get really into painting the car up, having a little metal flake in there. Gorgeous.
Yeah, I love it.
Meanwhile, out front, so here is the interesting bits. Of the people who pit, the top 5 pitted on the first caution.
Mm-hmm.
Though Philip Scott and Jacob Bettis have not pit yet. Schue, Stewart, and Gaston all came in during the first yellow. Everyone else came in on the second yellow. So this is going to be interesting to see once, everything kind of cycles around and where everyone's going to be, because it looks like Philip Scott and Bettis are going to have, the tires that they originally started on.
Mm-hmm.
I would believe the same will go for Schue, Gaston, and Stewart. DeBarro
Yeah,
Company, if we take a look at pit stop times, DeBarro definitely got 4 tires and fuel. White looks like he might have only gotten fuel only or 2 tires, likely fuel only.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the boat I was in. 16 out of 75. I don't think I'm taking the tires out of them. Unless they're expecting more yellows, in which case I guess it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I probably would have pit here anyway to get 4 tires and fuel, just because, all right, if we're thinking maybe a 35 lap run, not entirely sure exactly how much fuel is in it, but if it's about halfway, sure, let's come down, let's get some fuel, let's get some tires, maybe make a different strategy out of it. And I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, because so the notes I have is that this Speedway, its track is known to be rough and abrasive, which means that tire wear is a huge factor. That's why I wasn't expecting that many people to change their tires so early.
And I think too, at the same time though, they did change it because of how rough this surface is on the tires. As we see here, we got ourselves a pretty good fight right now between the 82 of Johnston and the 72 of Gaston. Johnston takes a peek to the inside. Gaston up top. He's got the 44 away on his tail. Have an update from Ace House. He said he lost force feedback, and then a lap after his wheel disconnected. He was trying to get down to pit road, turn the wheel off and on, but nothing worked. So definitely a tough break there. Not missing too much out front. Philip Scott has just under half a second lead over DeBarro. And actually, as we say that, that lead is shrinking. Here comes DeBarro. DeBarro takes a peek down low. Philip Scott's going to cut him off. $202 miles an hour going off into the corner. DeBarro chucks it in. Philip Scott has the momentum on the high side. DeBarro's got the shortest way around. Here comes Scott. He's got the run. DeBarro has the position. Now, is Philip Scott going to say anything you can do, I can do better? No, he stays up high. Scott now in the second lane. He drifts down, trying to stay right in the tire tracks of DeBarro. Now DeBarro's going to go up to the point.
So, obviously not the same cars, but apparently the NASCAR record was set in 2016 on this track by none other than Tony Stewart, clocking in at 216 miles an hour.
Yeah, those cars that year were just insane. No downforce, just high speed. Very different from what we've got now, but the current car put on incredible races here as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right now the field is driving through what are now warehouses.
Yeah.
Which is very sad.
Yeah.
And any movie buffs, this track was on the grounds of an old steel mill where they filmed Terminator, and the iconic lowering him down in the magma with the thumbs up was filmed on the grounds of what is and now was Auto Club Speedway.
Also a fun fact, Ford v Ferrari was filmed here.
It was, and you could tell, Or at least, you know, if you know racing, you knew that the Daytona scenes were not at Daytona for some parts. Kind of like how in Talladega Nights, they filmed at a bunch of different tracks, and in one scene, the crash took place at 4 different racetracks in one crash in the movie between Charlotte, Rockingham, and Talladega.
No one will know. No one needs to know.
That's my my special flavor of obsessing over things that I really shouldn't need to.
Everyone's got something.
Give me a die cast, I can usually tell you what, you know, where it's from and everything.
Yeah.
And then useless facts about racetracks.
I love how I threw you off with that Xena model.
Oh yeah, that was incredible. Old Brett Bodine, Ralph's collaboration from the now Xfinity series. We've got ourselves a pretty good battle here between Bettis, Gaston, and White. All for right around the 7th position. Bettis slings up top. White jumps down to the bottom. He's going to try to get a run on Gaston. Can't quite get anything going there. And now Gaston has a pretty good choice to make. Does he stay up top and follow Bettis? Does he go down low? He decides to go down low, but he picks up a little too much momentum. Has to back out of it. They're side by side. Here comes White now to try to think about making a move. He's going to give some drafting help to the 72. Gaston firmly inside of Bettis. He's going to clear him out of 2. Here comes White now. Though Bettis has a little bit of drafting help from the 3 of Schue. Bettis swings up top to the high side. Inches from the wall. He's going to try to pick up some momentum, but White gets around him. Now Schue gets around him as well. So in the span of about a lap and a half, Jacob Bettis goes from 8th to 10th. Now I think is when those new tires are certainly going to be paying more dividends than guys staying out on old tires.
Mm-hmm.
Because we take a look now, Philip Scott has yet to pit. He's currently running in the 4th position.
Yeah, you could actually watch when he goes into a turn how much he is losing on those turns time-wise.
Yeah, let's take a look here at the lap comparison.
There you go. He just lost almost 0.2 seconds go on this turn.
And it really goes to show, even looking at the lap times here, last 5 laps, Jamar Dumas has been faster than Scott and catching him every single lap. But like we always say, catching him is one thing, passing is a completely different thing. And now Dumas, sideways. He's going to try to carry that momentum, but it looks like Philip Scott might have been a little bit faster that time through. Just about even. Dumas pops down to the inside. Jamar getting a little squirrely coming across the seams. Dumas down low. 46 laps to go here at the line. And these guys running the high side, their high entry gets them really, really close to the wall.
Yeah.
We saw that with the 51 earlier.
I wonder if Scott is trying to play the split the half Split the race in half game for the pit.
Well, speaking of pitting, one guy has already come down pit road. We're trying to look at a completely different setting or a different strategy. This guy, all by himself, John Cannizzaro Jr., just comes off of pit road. Now Jacob Bettis is down on pit road. Looks like with Bettis down on pit road now, this is starting to get interesting.
Oh, someone else just rolled down. So now see, this is where the crazy. Who's having some issues? Daniel's just scrubbed the wall a little bit. Looks like he lost some time, but should be fine.
Oh man, right up against that wall. Let's take a look at that one. Because it looks like, yeah, he lost a ton of momentum.
Yeah.
So here he is through 3 and 4. And he just gets a little loose out of 4. Gets stuck in the wall, has to let off, gets pulled off the wall. There goes Dumas flying by. And Philip Scott makes his way down pit road.
So not going for the half team method.
I don't know if he's going to be able to make it. I kind of guessed about 35 laps would be the pit window.
Yeah.
Something in in another 35 laps. That's 68. Move that up to 70. We still might need to see one more pit stop from these guys.
Yeah.
And honestly, staying out longer now might put Philip Scott in a little bit better of an advantage if this stays green. Because let's take a look at the last time everyone was down on pit road. DeBarro, Johnston, Dumas, Coast, and Daniels all pit on lap 13, 14, give or take. 35 laps from then would put us onto lap 50. They'll be able to make it with one more stop.
Yeah.
Philip Scott coming down, he can go until about lap 70. So he might actually have a little bit better of an advantage because he only has to be on pit road a little bit shorter. He can probably get away with taking 2 tires if it's just a 5-lap run. I think that could be a pretty good option for him, but we'll see how everything else goes.
If everybody's going down 50, 55, and he goes down 60, he's going to have the freshest set of tires for the end of the race.
And it looks like over the last few laps here, Johnston has been losing time ever so slightly to the leader DeBarro as Jason Schue heads down pit road. So here comes Jason Schue getting ready to get some 4 fresh tires.
I feel like the pit speed on this track should be like 95.
Definitely feel like it should. Oh, as the 3 overshoots his pit box just a little bit.
We've all done it.
Right now,
me almost every time I race.
Got ourselves a great battle here for. Got a great battle here for P3. Dumas and the 63 battle it out. Dumas starting to pull away ever so slightly, but here comes Koss just to try to put in a little bit of pressure. Adam Stewart heads down pit road. Here comes Canizaro. Canizaro is a lap down, but much fresher tires. Look at that move. The Wild Child flashes down to the bottom of the track, tries to get around the 63. He does. Makes quick work of the 28 as well. Meanwhile, we've got another battle here, this one for 5th. As Gaston makes his way down pit road.
Was this his second pit or his first pit?
This is his second trip down pit road. He pitted back during the first yellow on lap 6. So yeah, just around that 35 lap pit window. So we're likely going to be seeing the leaders around lap 50. But look at this, Canizaro trying to get his lap back the hard way as he runs the top, just about even with the 82.
I mean, he's not that far back from getting his lap back.
Yeah, at this point, he's about 5.5 seconds back from DeBarro.
Yeah, like one turn.
With everyone pitting now, they can make it the rest of the way if they were to pit right now with one more stop. But I'm thinking if I'm DeBarro, if I'm Johnston, if I'm, Cost, I'm Dumas, I am running this as far as I can go. Spend a little less time on pit road. But I still do think that Philip Scott is going to be in the best position here as far as fuel strategy is concerned if we stay green. If a yellow were to come out, if someone were to spin out coming onto pit road, if there's another issue, then I'm thinking maybe the Dizzy guys might have it, maybe throw in a Canizaro in the mix as well.
Yeah, I'm really surprised with like where the yellows could change so much so quickly. You plan a whole race, you plan all your pits, you plan everything, and then just out of nowhere you lose it because a yellow came out.
And here comes DeBarro heading down pit road. 60-mile-an-hour pit road speed. Going to be getting 4 tires and fuel. And Joe, like I said, he's able to make it the rest of the way without needing the pit. That's going to give the lead over to this guy, Tim Johnston. I would assume Johnston is going to be heading down pit road shortly. But Johnston now with a 3.25 second lead over the 63 of Max Cost.
Probably just grabbing his 5 points.
That very well could be. And right now, if I'm Cost, I'm Dumas, I'm White, I'm just saying, all right, guys, go ahead. Go pit. Go pit. I'll take that lap lead. I can use those points. Especially Daniels being the point leader. Only a 30-something point cushion over second place. I'm out here trying to maximize as many points as I can get.
Definitely.
Now, Dumas and White both head down pit road. So both these drivers heading down. That's a helpful camera angle. Glued to each other's bumpers, both down pit road and into their pit box. As a 63 having a hard time getting into his box, he has to back up and readjust. That's going to kill his time on pit road.
Yeah, I think he had to readjust twice.
That's a tough break. Here comes Gleason down on the pit road with the Comans Care machine. Point leader John Daniels heads down pit road. And now our leader entering pit road. Here's Tim Johnston. So as soon as things cycle back around, let's take a look to see who our leader's going to be.
I really thought Daniels was going to roll around and grab 5 points.
I wonder if he just knew for a fact he wasn't going to be able to make it another lap. As of right now, though, Johnston is still the leader. Until that guy flies by, you just saw a flash of a white and blue machine. There he is, our leader right now, Philip Scott. Scott has the lead over DeBarro, but just by a second. DeBarro does have slightly fresher tires than Scott.
Yeah, you could see that time is... It's always the turns that you could see the difference in tires.
And here at Auto Club Speedway, 10 laps is a lifetime as far as tires are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So DeBarro, 10 lap fresher tires. Philip Scott, a lot lighter because he's got 10 laps older fuel. As now DeBarro takes a peek to the inside. Philip Scott going to try to hang on as long as he can to the outside. So we'll move DeBarro up to P1.
Now, if you're Scott, do you pit? Do you aim for 55, 60? Because you know you're going to need to get some time back while you're in the pits. You're going to lose almost a lap.
You know, I could definitely see maybe coming in around lap 55, trying to get something going. Because, I mean, let's take a look again here at the graph. Philip Scott came in on lap 32. If he runs a 35, let's say 35 laps is a fuel window, that would be putting him in on lap 67. Whereas DeBarro, 42 laps, he doesn't need to pit.
Mm-hmm.
So if he comes down around lap 55, he should have, I mean, he's going to have about 20 laps to catch DeBarro and the rest of the field. Try to pick up a little bit more time, have the fresher tires. That very well could be the move. And that might be something that I think about doing if I'm Philip Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm Cannizzaro, you know, I would try something like that.
Yeah. That might have been his move first time around.
Yeah, and I mean, that could have been the idea the whole way through. And, you know, the yellow came out at a kind of weird time for anyone. And it's some guys said, all right, let's change the script. And some guys like Philip Scott just said, nope, we're going to keep with the status quo. I think the tires are okay for now. And, play it as it lies. Right now, we've got a pretty decent fight here for 9th. Jason Schue there in 8th, as here comes Canizaro coming down pit road, Joe.
It's like I called it.
I blame John for listening to the broadcast. We're just giving him ideas.
Yeah, it was 5 seconds behind. He had about a turn to make it.
Looking like that scene from The Hangover with all the math numbers and everything going on.
He's like, they're right. I do have a chance.
I feel like, though, if anyone is taking advice from either of us during a broadcast, don't.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, that's clearly a you problem.
What was it, about 5 minutes ago? I literally said I missed the pit box every race I have.
Yep.
They need to make the signs bigger for me is the problem. I already have a picture. It says, stop here, stupid, and then I still pass it.
Over here. Okay, cool, bye.
Oh, missed it. I think I killed the guy.
Yeah, thank God it's virtual and not real life.
Someone figured out real fast that they should hold a stick with a sign and not just the person out there holding it.
As here comes Gaston to head down pit road.
I feel like he pitted not that long ago.
Yeah, back on lap 38. And they're working on lap 53 right now, so it wasn't all that long, but I think this could be the smart move. Jacob Bettis heads down pit road as well. Meanwhile, out front, DeBarro gets around Adam Stewart in the Welts clothing machine.
And Scott has fallen well behind.
Yeah, Philip Scott, 6.5 seconds and more. Speaking of Adam and the Welts clothing crew, they stand for strength through adversity, and it's just the ability to keep going when any rational person would quit, and they just keep struggling till it pays off. Make sure you check them out online at weltsclothing.com. Get those sponsor reads in for us.
I feel like they should make paintball jerseys for the naming laws.
That would be amazing. I mean, there are some paint splatters there on the logo. That is a great looking car. As here comes Adam, as we're talking about him, heading down pit road. Money stops happening right now. Meanwhile, our leader, that's the 27, Anthony DeBarro, with a big lead. Almost 8 seconds over the field. Oh, Jason Schue into the wall. Schue able to get it woed down and pulls himself all the way onto pit road. Jonathan Gaston there in front, heading on to pit road, or coming off of pit road. What happened to Gaston?
Well, he was coming off pits, no?
It felt a lot longer than it actually was, but you're absolutely right.
I think he was way in the back of the pit, so he came in quick, but then he had a, 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I got distracted by shiny objects and completely forgot where everyone else was.
It did spark. It looked pretty. I don't blame you.
Meanwhile, DeBarro's opening up to a 9-second lead. Here comes Philip Scott down to pit road. Just past lap 55. Joe, we're coming to lap 58, so just about 3 laps off you were.
That was close. It's like I'm learning something.
Imagine that. What a concept. So now DeBarro's got an 11.5-second lead over Tim Johnston. Coming to 15 laps to go next time by. DeBarro does have enough to pit, or to finish this race.
Well, what you
So
see,
likely
however,
should Johnston, Dumas, White, Daniels, now Cannizzaro. Philip Scott just coming off of pit road. But Cannizzaro on back, 1 lap down. So barring anything weird, this might be the Dizzy Motorsports show again.
Yeah, very much could be.
Because right now it looks like the closest battle on the racetrack right now is this one right here between Philip Scott and John Cannizzaro. Both are a lap down, but they are closing. But the question is Philip Scott going to have enough time? He gets around Cannizzaro. He's going to get around the 82 of Johnston as well. He's got 10 seconds to catch up to DeBarro. Last time by, Philip Scott ran a 39.78 versus DeBarro's 41.3.
Possible, but it's close. Assuming he can keep up this pace.
But don't forget, he's going to have to go... He's basically going to have to pick up about a minute of racing time in these next 13 laps.
Yes.
So I don't think he's going to be able to get it done. I mean, he is closing ever so slightly. But I don't think the math is going to math here. But we've got 12 laps remaining here at Auto Club. DeBarro leading Johnston by about 10 seconds. One guy we haven't really talked all that much about, and quite frankly, I'm afraid to talk about him. But we're just going to put him up on screen right now, not mention anything. Our viewers with eyes can see the position and the run that is happening right now. But I refuse to mention anything about this driver because the broadcaster's curse is not friendly. And I
especially
don't
with
want
11
to
to
say
go.
anything with 11 to go and a driver with a penchant for very unlucky things. I think that is all I'm going to say without invoking the curse of the broadcaster. Out front, DeBarro trying to put the point leader John Daniels a lap down. Daniel's having himself a good run, currently in P5. Oh, Daniel sideways, big loose. Wow, you can see his hands working all over that steering wheel.
Yeah, that could have changed the finish.
Let's take a quick look at that one because that was something. Let's jump in and take a look inside the cockpit view because that was a wild ride. Keep an eye out here on those gloves of Daniel's. He sees us sideways. Whoa. Somehow he stayed in the gas as well.
That's the impressive part.
And oh, what's this? Anthony DeBarro heads down pit road.
With 9?
9 laps to go. DeBarro running out of fuel. Tim Johnston goes to the point. Fuel might be a little tighter than we thought. 8 to go. Tim Johnston inherits the lead. DeBarro back down to 6th and falling.
And look who just moved up to 4th.
Philip Scott, 33 seconds back. This has gotten a heck of a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to get.
Did DeBarro just grab gas? He's already out and about. He's about the same as Scott.
Yeah, I think he just said, nope, I am taking fuel, and that's it.
As he moves up to 5th already.
Time not showing up quite yet on our strategy standings. But 7 to go. Tim Johnston has the lead. Now we've got ourselves a nice little battle here as DeBarro closing in on Philip Scott. This changes everything.
It does. When did Johnston last pit? Is he going to have enough gas?
Oh, let's see. Johnston pit 4 laps after DeBarro.
So very close.
So DeBarro pit on lap 42 and had to come down with 9 laps to go. Johnston might be getting close now. It's been 4 laps since... It's been almost 4 laps since DeBarro pit.
Yeah.
And if Johnston is using the same fuel numbers, Johnston might need to come down pit road. Same goes for Jamar Dumas. Same goes for Danny White. Same goes for John Daniels. As well as Garrett Gleason. So this fuel strategy stuff is getting intense as DeBarro gets around Philip Scott. 5 to go. Johnston slow through 3 and 4, but he must be clutching.
With how fast DeBarro's moving, do you think he took gas in like 2 tires?
Let's take a look at the pit times. Yeah, he took 4 tires, 15-second pit stop.
Oh, he did take 4. I thought he only took 2.
That is why DeBarro's flying. Johnston not clutching. Garrett Gleason heads down pit road.
So it seems like a lot of people had the same plan. But it might not be working out.
This could change everything.
How much clutching is Johnston using?
Through the corner, nothing so far. But he might be running half or three-quarter throttle down the straightaway. Two laps to go. The hunt is on. Anthony DeBarro, 26 seconds back. Likely not going to make it in time. Jamar Dumas, almost 17 seconds back. So Tim Johnston comes out of turn number 4, white flag in the air. And as we see that, a little bit of trouble out on the racetrack. No yellow since the leader picked up the white flag. But there's an issue with Jason Schue, heavy front end damage. Schue gets sideways out of 4, able to keep it going in the right direction. But meanwhile, through turns 3 and 4, for one final time, checkered flag in the air. Tim Johnston is going to win at Auto Club.
What a strategy.
Did not think he was going to have enough fuel after DeBarro wasn't able to make it. Out of turn 4, we can finally say it. Jamar Dumas, what a run. Dumas comes home P2. DeBarro's going to cross the line in 3rd. Philip Scott fighting through for 4th. Good run for Danny White. White out of gas. Canizaro goes by. Daniels goes by. Is White gonna have enough?
He's coasting it. He'll make it. It's fine.
White at highway speeds makes it across the line. Who's that running out of fuel? Bettis is going. And wow, not only did Johnston have enough to finish the race, he had enough to celebrate.
Talk about cutting it close for the other drivers.
Adding insult to injury, saying, hey, look at how much fuel I saved.
Yeah, really.
As Johnston celebrates here on the front stretch. And he's going to park it in victory lane as Tim Johnston gets the win. We'll start moving some of these guys into the broadcast, into the waiting room. As Johnston blows it up there in victory lane. And Joe, I believe you've caught up with our 3rd place finisher, Anthony DeBarro.
Hey, Anthony, congratulations on your podium finish. Could you talk us through the last 15 laps? What happened there?
I just didn't have the fuel. I couldn't. I didn't save the fuel. I didn't top off a 1 to go on that caution, so I couldn't make it. So I had to, Jamar and Tim did a great job, I have a lead foot. Let's put it that way. So I'm not very. I'm not. One thing I'm not good at is saving fuel. So I wasn't even gonna try that. And Tim said on the radio, he was like, "I'm gonna come top off." I'm like, "Oh, maybe that'll work for you." And I was looking at the laps. I'm like, "No way." And then he made it that first stop, and he's like, "I could make it." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And I just at that point was trying to get back in front of Philip. And John for points there. And I think we had the raw pace tonight. It seemed like, but just sometimes you don't hit the strategy, and you got to be good at everything. So a good job to Tim. Like I said, Tim and Jamar. That was impressive. And I was hoping that I could two stop it and catch back up, but I think I was 11 seconds or 12 seconds behind Tim.
Yeah, it was. I mean, very close, and you ended up. You did make a ton of time back. We were wondering if you were actually going to catch up to Johnson at the rate you were going, but then he was able to hold on. So we thought he was going to run out of gas too.
I think he had like a lap or two, honestly, left over the way he saved.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. This racetrack, very bumpy surface. It's a little crazy on the cornering. How rough was it for you?
Not too bad. I noticed, like, so practice, it seemed like the top lane was going to be where you wanted to be, and then once the track, we got to nighttime and it cooled down, I couldn't make any time running the top, so I stuck to the bottom, and that's where my car felt the best, and I think it really worked down there for saving the tires. The car kind of builded really tight too. It was looser in the daylight, but it was difficult. I mean, it was cool. I loved having different strategies like that. I thought that was it was entertaining for me from being in the cockpit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, awesome race out there. Congrats for making your way all the way back up into the podium when we thought you were gonna kind of sit back with that last minute pit stop. You have any shout outs for us?
Yeah, thank you guys, and the admins, Garrett, for doing this deal, and all the drivers. I mean, we're this late in the year, and we have 16 cars, and everyone's racing clean. No one's bickering and fighting, so everyone gets along. As I really love racing here, and look forward to continue doing it in the future.
Awesome. Well, congrats again, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
All right, that's Anthony DeBarro, our third place finisher here tonight. I am now joined by our second place finisher, driver of the number 28 machine, Jamar Dumas. And Jamar, congratulations on P2. Talk us through there, a little bit of fuel strategy there, it sounded like.
Yes, sir. Like the last probably 20 laps or so, I was clutching every corner, trying to make it to the end.
And how tough was that? I mean, we heard from DeBarro there just before, and he was saying that, he should have saved more, but he didn't. He should have came down and topped off with 1 to green, and was saying that he had just a little bit too much of a lead foot. How difficult is it to clutch in, and you feel like you want to go a lot faster than you probably are, and how tough is that?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. You never practice that kind of thing, or at least I don't. And it took me a few laps to get the hang of it, but I ended up pulling it off. I had about a lap to spare, in fact.
Wow, so you actually wow, that's really impressive. We were joking up here during the last few laps that with probably about like 8 or 10 to go, I did not want to mention your name. I didn't want to mention anything regarding how good of a run you were having, because just how snake bit you've been this season. How good does it feel to finally get that great finish and kind of propel you ahead to next week?
Oh man, it feels awesome after Darlington last week, only making it one corner. Yeah, it feels great. I kept thinking to myself, something's gonna happen. Caution's gonna come out. Somebody's gonna spin in front of me. But luckily, made it all the way to the end.
And of course we're sitting there, we're saying that, and we look up and Schue sideways through 3 and 4 as Johnson hit the white flag. So luckily no yellow there to really give anyone else a bit of a heart attack. But taking a look now to next week, doubleheader at Talladega. I know those races are a bit of a crapshoot, but what are you thinking for that one?
Oh, I love Talladega and Daytona, all the super speedways. So I think I've got a good shot. Just keep my nose clean and stay out of the big one, and probably have a good weekend.
Awesome. Well, Jamar, congrats again on the second place finish. Before we let you go, I'm sure you have some shout outs, so let's hear them.
Yeah, tonight, my daughter Madison, she watches me every night, and I love her to death. So, hi, Madison.
Awesome. Well, Jamar, congrats again on P2, and looking forward to seeing you out there next week at the Talladega doubleheader.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right, that's Jamar Dumas, our second place finisher for tonight's race. And Joe is joined now in victory lane by our winner, Tim Johnston.
Hey, Tim, congratulations on the victory. Crazy race there. Could you talk us through your strategy?
Yeah, when the caution came out, the second caution came out around lap, I think 13 or 14. I made the decision. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna risk it here. I'm going to pit here for the last time and save fuel and see if I can finish this race on one more stop. And we went green from there on out, and the strategy worked.
So was that your original strategy for the race, or did you just figure, it's a yellow, let's go for it, let's see what happens?
No, the original strategy was, pit at lap 25, pit at lap 50, and still have a set in case there was a late caution. But when that one came out, I was like, well, I'm going to change it up and see if I can do something different here. And thankfully, it worked out.
Yes, it does seem to have worked out for you pretty well, with plenty of time to spare, and it seemed like you had enough fuel to have a nice little victory run for you. Did you notice any differences between the grip between like the lower lines and the higher lines?
Yeah, I felt like when the race started, when it was just getting evening, it wasn't completely dark, that the top line was actually better. But as the evening went on and the track cooled down, it seemed like the bottom in 1 and 2 became more dominant instead of the top, at least for my car.
Got you. And did you have any issues out there with other drivers, or kind of trying to get around people, or having to go back and forth the lanes?
No, not at all. Everybody raced really great tonight. It was that one restart where I started in the back, and everybody, I think there were some other people that were also on the same strategy that I was. So trying to get through there, you had old tires, you had new tires, you had guys saving fuel. So there was a whole mix there after that second caution, but everybody there was raced really great.
Yeah, that second caution was a little nuts because of how their mixed everything was. I'm sure you have some shout outs for us.
I just want to thank everybody at Disney Motorsports, all my teammates, all the fans that tune in to you guys' great broadcasts that you put on every week, and everybody at TNR for putting this on every week so all of us can come out and get away from reality and have a little bit of fun.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week.
Sounds great, guys. Yep, so I will be here next week.
All right, that is Tim Johnston, our winner for tonight's race here at Auto Club Speedway. And Joe, let's take a look here at the final results for the Auto Club race here for TNR. And this was a very, very fun race. Tim Johnston gets the win over Jamar Dumas and Anthony DeBarro. Philip Scott rallies back to finish in 4th. John Cannizzaro Jr. finishes 5th, and Cannizzaro in the chat had said he hit the pit cone on his first pit stop, just kind of messing around, and he said it got stuck in his hood and slowed him down until he was forced to come down to pit road to get rid of it, so he was behind the 8-ball all night long. So a great recovery for that 77 machine. John Daniels comes home 6th, Danny White in 7th, Jacob Bettis in 8th, 1 lap down. Adam Stewart gets a top 10, a great finish for him in 9th. Jonathan Gaston in 10th. Jason Schue, we saw spinning coming to the white flag. He finishes in 11th. Garrett Gleason in 12th. Max Cost out of the race. Ace House, Matthew Rodriguez, and Jeff Price as well. So, a very, very fun race tonight. Looking forward to next week as we race on over to the Talladega doubleheader. So that is going to be a wild pair of races. Anything can happen at Talladega. And Joe, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, Talladega is one of those the big ones. It's a double header, so you never know what's going to happen with back-to-back races. So that should be really interesting.
That is for sure. Well, that will just about do it for us. Thank you so much for checking us out here for broadcasting for the Total Nonstop Racing League. We're going to be back on the air tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern for the Speed Xfinity Series. They are in their playoffs, heading over to Texas Motor Speedway. That is going to be a race you do not want to miss. You can also check us out this Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern on here on Twitch and YouTube for the Tabletop Trio podcast. And then Thursday morning, wherever you find your podcast, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Google, or more, and you could listen in to the podcast that way. So for one final time, I'm Bob.
I'm Joe.
This has been the Total Nonstop Racing League, live here on Tabletop Trio Podcast Network. Have a great night.